Has confirmed 3 cases of Legionnaire's disease, this in people who stayed at Harrah's Laughlin in May. Officials say 2 people have recovered and 1 remained in the hospital at the time the health district got the report. Health officials took samples from the facility. They say they tested positive for Legionella. Harrah's Laughlin has since disinfected its water systems. It will follow up on testing.
A warning tonight about a flesh-eating bacteria called Vulnificus. And so far this year, the Florida Department of Health says 4 people have died in our state from this.
West News' Christina Watkins talked with an infectious disease doctor who says heavy rain and storms could lead to even more cases.
There's a potential danger lurking in the water, and no, we're not talking about alligators or sharks, at least not this time. It's a flesh-eating bacteria.
There's a lot of bacteria that just live in different areas, even in like waterborne spots. So there's freshwater, saltwater, and this bacteria called Vibrio vulnificus likes saltwater.
The bacteria led to 4 deaths so far in Florida, in Hillsborough, Bay, Broward, and St. Johns counties. That's according to the State Department of Health. Overall, 11 infections have been reported statewide. Orlando Health infectious disease specialist Dr. Daniel Egan says cases typically go up this time of year, especially during hurricane season.
So that's actually what we saw last year when we were talking about like Hurricane Milton and all the flooding and debris. That's where we actually saw an uptick of cases after that time in October, mainly because of that. Is like that brings all the salt water more inland from all these storms.
Though experts say it is rare for this bacteria to lead to deaths, Dr. Egan stressed the importance of knowing the signs and the symptoms. He says the main way it can show up is through an open cut or wound.
Vibrio in particular, it likes to move very fast. So if all of a sudden things look good and then there's some sudden redness that's just spreading very quickly over a day to a few hours, that's one when you want to go to the emergency room quickly for it, because it can be that fast too.
Christina Watkins, WESH 2 News.
Now, the State Department of Health shows 82 infections and 19 deaths last year. The state says numbers went up after Hurricane Helene.
Well, this made international headlines when a person died in Flagstaff of the plague.
Yeah, days after we broke that story, there's still a lot of unknown questions about how this happened. Steve Nielsen has some new information now about the steps the county has taken to prevent it from spreading. Steve?
Yeah, in just the last hour, the county's released new information to Fox 10. They have confirmed that a lot of the people that were around the patient who died from the plague have received antibiotics for the plague. One person who was in close contact has reported having a fever and shortness of breath. They, too, received some of these antibiotics. But again, the county stresses here that the risk of spread is very low. Friday, July 11th was when Coconino County health officials confirmed a patient died of the plague. But now they confirm the patient actually died more than a week prior on July 1st. It took that long to confirm the cause of death. Does it take a long time to confirm a case of plague?
Yes, because they need to send it to specific lab. Not all hospitals usually can do the test.
Dr. Sammy Hoshi is an infectious disease expert at Abrazo Health in the Valley. He says time is crucial when treating someone with pneumonic plague.
24 to 48 hours. So you need to react right away.
What we do know, prairie dogs are not the culprit. A recent die-off of prairie dogs in the northeast Flagstaff area was unrelated, according to the Coconino County Health and Human Services. They're still investigating how it spread, though. They won't confirm the identity of the victim, but now say while they waited for the confirmation of cause of death, they took steps to control the spread. The county tells us preventative antibiotics were administered in some instances following consultation with the ADHS Bureau of Infectious Disease. It's unknown how many people received antibiotics for the plague or if any were showing symptoms. Do hospitals have plague antibiotics on hand?
The good news, the antibiotics we usually treat with is available. Usually more than 99% of the hospitals, they should have the medication needed, like for treating pneumonic plague.
So even though it's a very rare illness and a sickness, the way to treat it, everyone's prepared for that.
Yes.
So again, in that new information that we received from the county, close contacts received the antibiotics for the plague. They also said, though, that members of the medical examiner's team received those antibiotics and also the medical care team for the patient that died as well. again, in an effort to prevent the spread. Just one person, though, reported having any symptoms, including a fever and shortness of breath. And we want to reiterate this thing we said at the top. Every expert we've talked to, including the county officials here, say that the risk of spread is very low. Steve Nielsen, Fox 10 News.
We want to give our families healthy foods, but some of our everyday favorites may be hiding bacteria that could make us sick. An investigation from Consumer Reports reveals last year's riskiest foods. Well, the good news, you don't have to give them up. Here is how you enjoyed them safely. With foodborne illness outbreaks making headlines, some shoppers are being extra cautious.
It's bothersome, so that's why I make sure that I clean all my vegetables and fruit.
We do buy organic as much as we possibly can.
Those are good moves, but they aren't enough to protect you. The CDC says tens of millions of Americans get sick from contaminated food every year, some of it organic. Last year, recalls linked to E. coli, salmonella, and listeria jumped 41% compared to the year before, and related hospitalizations and deaths more than doubled. Consumer Reports has identified the top offenders
for seniors, very young children, or anyone with a compromised immune system. Even consuming a very small amount of this bacteria can be life-threatening.
Consumer Reports has identified the top offenders from last year: leafy greens and deli meat, onion, cucumbers, and organic carrots and organic basil, eggs, raw milk, and raw milk cheese, and soft cheeses like queso fresco. Contamination can happen anywhere along the food chain, on the farm, during processing, even in your kitchen.
Recent budget cuts could limit what the food agencies can do. That's why it's so important to know how to protect yourself at home.
To minimize risk, always cook meat to the right internal temperature using a thermometer. Use separate cutting boards for raw meat and produce. Clean surfaces thoroughly, and skip rinsing raw meat, which can spread bacteria. Store meat on the lowest shelf in the fridge, and never leave food out for longer than 2 hours or 1 hour if it's hot outside. Consumer Reports says there are other common foods that can carry hidden risks to raw sprouts, shellfish like oysters, even uncooked flour, and unpasteurized juices. They've all been linked to outbreaks.